It's time for another Out and About with Jamie Grout podcast, and I think you're going to find this very interesting because it's the last weekend of the Iowa State Fair, and let me tell you, the crew at WHO has been working very hard to try to bring you great broadcasts, and a lot of people behind the scenes have been working at the Crystal Studios, handing out swag and shaking hands and kissing babies, as they say. There's all kinds of displays going on for this last weekend with the history of John Deere. Also, the Blue Star Mothers are out there raising funds for all kinds of care packages to be sent to those who have been deployed, and also letters to those folks who are overseas and those who have been deployed too. And plus you can meet the WHO personalities too. But Jeff Angelo has been very busy on the fairgrounds, and so have the farm broadcasters, and we'll be talking to Jeff about the busy day that he had yesterday, including going out to the fairgrounds to help MC the world record event for scratch tickets all at one time, presented by the Iowa Lottery. And you'll hear him refer to that. And as a matter of fact, you might have heard on the news that they obliterated the record for the scratch tickets all being scratched off at one time. And the former world record was something like 400 scratch tickets having been done at one time. Again, that scratch ticket record was obliterated in celebration of the Iowa Lottery's 40th anniversary. Hundreds and hundreds of Iowa State fairgoers set a Guinness World Record on Thursday for the most people scratching scratch cards all at one time simultaneously. They aim to beat the record of 550 people. It was set in 2023 in Warsaw, Poland, and the record was set with 1,380 participants helping to demolish the previous record. An adjudicator from the Guinness World Records was on hand to verify the attempt. It was great, and one Des Moines person won $40,000, while two others went home with $4,000 each. We also wanted to talk to Jeff because he was very lucky. He is a three-time winner of the Govenors Charity Steer Show, and we'll ask him what his secret was to winning for 3 years in a row. And he's already spoken to a lady who might end up being a second-time winner next time around next year for the Govenors Steer Show, and she's an up-and-comer with another steer for next year, so we'll find out about that. And also, we might have a record corn crop for this year, and that might be good news and bad news for farmers, and we'll find out more about that from one of our farm guys at WHO, Duane Murley. So again, I think this is going to be a very interesting podcast for you to listen to. Give it a listen, and we'll get to that in just a couple moments. First of all, we want to hear from our supporters, the people who sponsor this podcast, including Ryan's Tire and Auto on First Avenue in Newton. And you know, we've had a hot and wet summer, and at Ryan's Tire and Auto, it's great to have your car in tip-top shape for that kind of weather. They take pride in delivering more than just tires and vehicle maintenance. They provide an unwavering commitment to great service. Great service is what it's all about, and maintenance, of course, at Ryan's Tire and Auto. An unwavering commitment to great service every time at Ryan's Tire and Auto on First Avenue in Newton. And also Newton Clinic. Check out Newton Clinic if you have a youngster that's getting ready for back-to-school season, and especially if they're going to get ready for sports. It's time for their checkup, and to make sure that they're all ready for sports at Newton Clinic, give them a call or text them at 641-792-2112 at Newton Clinic. And don't forget about their new provider they have there, Kinsey Heiser. She's excited to meet you. And also, don't forget, another big sponsor from our podcast, Out and About with Jamie Grout, is Advantage Credit Union.
Financial fitness doesn't happen at the gym. This is your spotter, Ashley from Advantage Credit Union. We'll do the heavy lifting while you gain the power of loan pre-approval. This kind of muscle means you know exactly how much you can borrow for that next vehicle and what your payments will be. Plus, you have 30 days to shop any dealership for your purchase to work out. ACU membership is better than a gym membership because you actually own the place.
Local money, local decisions, local service, and locally owned by you. Subject to credit approval, member NCUA.
Time for another Out and About with Jamie Grout. And once again, we're going to do a podcast with the guy I call my boss, sits on the other side of the glass for me every morning when I'm producing for the morning show on WHO, and that would be Jeff Angelo. And we're at the Iowa State Fair at the Crystal Studios, and Jeff and Duane Murley and Bob Quinn and Emery Songer and Simon Conway and all the other folks here at WHO have well, it's been kind of an all-hands-on-deck situation here with the staff because we are here in full force handing out swag and broadcasting from the State Fair. And Jeff is all over the place here, and he is a 3-time winner of the Govenors Steer Show.
Yeah.
Jeff, what is your secret?
The secret is to have a great picker named Don Foley. It specifically has to be Don Foley. And Don is the guy who goes out every year. He's got eyes on at various county fairs around Iowa, and he'll eventually get a call maybe from 7 folk who will say, Don, you really got to take a look at this steer. I think it's a winner. And Don has the best eye for figuring out who the winner is going to be. So he's actually picked 5 winning steers so far for the Iowa Govenors Charity Steer Show. And obviously, it's been a real blessing to me. We've won 3 out of 5 times.
Jeff, tell us about your steer this year that won.
Yeah, so the steer was Jimmy and was a Charlet. And Jimmy is probably the best tempered steer I've ever had. There's always, when you get into the ring as a celebrity shower, you're walking next to your coach, and mine was Brenna T. from Mediapolis. And Brenna often and other coaches really have to coach you up because of how the steer is going to react in the ring, particularly with that big crowd and a lot of noise. You're also in the ring a lot longer, over an hour, than you would be in a standard show. But Jimmy was just absolutely calm and was enjoying the attention, you could tell. And as long as Brenna was at his side, had no issue at all with the crowd or any kind of reaction or anything unusual. So basically, I just held the harness and Jimmy trotted happily alongside. And so basically, from a temperament standpoint, I've never had an easier steer. And it was clear, I've learned over the years, that you can tell by if the judge is paying a lot of attention to you, if you have a chance. And he was definitely going back and forth between my steer and the Governor's steer. And we could see that. Brenna and I could see that. So we knew we had a shot.
Well, you had said on the air that he has the characteristics of a champion. Tell us about that. The eyes and the ears.
Yeah, he's got fuzzy ears and he's a fuzzy steer. But also the way that he presented in the ring, and Don was talking about this, that shoulders high and trotting proudly. I've been asking a lot of folks, do they think that the animals really know that they're the center of the attention? Do they revel in the attention? And they tell me yes. They say that a lot of these animals really know that they're being shown, that they're the center of attention. I think Jimmy did, and Jimmy knew what was required of him, and he just did. He just trotted into that ring and threw that ring like a champion.
Now, I was listening to you and Emery Songer this morning. Now, you had a winner last year.
Yeah.
And the handler for last year is already training, for next year and another steer or something like that?
Well, we talked about that because Emma's only in the 6th grade this year, Emma from Searsboro, and I don't know if they've ever had a return competitor, but I think it would be fun for Emma and I to show again. And so her family's kind of scouting around for another good steer that maybe will get Emma and I back into the show and try to be repeat champions together.
Well, that'd be great. Now, tell us about your day today. You have an extremely busy day today, Jeff.
Yeah, so I'll go from here. We'll go to the pie eating contest, and that's at the Ann and Bill Riley stage. And then I'm going to flip pork burgers and do some chops at the Iowa Pork Tent. That'll be from 11 to 1. Then we're going to go, we'll come back here, and we're going to do a kind of a live pregame of the Iowa Lottery's world record-setting attempt. So they'll be in the LL Family Park this afternoon. We're going to try to break the all-time record of having over 550 people scratch a scratch ticket at the exact same time. So after we do the pregame on WHO, I'll actually go to be master of ceremonies of that event. And my key responsibility is to make sure that nobody scratches too early. They all have to scratch at once. There is an adjudicator there from the Guinness Book of World Records. And once he has a count, once he sees that everybody has scratched it once, we'll set a world record here at the Iowa State Fair.
And you said on the air this morning that world record's already been set.
Yeah, 550 over in Poland, so it's not an American record, which sounds weird. So Iowa Lottery is going to try to bring the record back home to America, and specifically to Iowa. And this being the Iowa State Fair, I would believe we could break that record. 550 just doesn't sound like all that much, particularly when you think that the scratch tickets are being given away for free, and somebody could, in fact, be part of the record and then win a whole ton of money.
This might be a tough question to answer, but what's your favorite thing about the Iowa State Fair?
Just the people. I love Iowans, and that's why I love Iowa. And so what I do walking around these fairgrounds every day is I'm just connecting and reconnecting with people. And the fact that we all have a place to come to together is really a wondrous thing.
You and your lady, who you refer to as the Queen, just did a walkabout yesterday at the Iowa State Fair and didn't really have anything planned. What did you discover?
Well, we basically just wandered around without a plan, and we had experiences. We did the hymn sing. We went through Pioneer Hall. We examined the fully accessible playground. And we had just a great day, connected with a lot of friends we didn't even know were here. And so I think some of your best days at the fairs can be days when there's no plan at all, because these fairgrounds really are gigantic. And every corner of them is covered with something to eat or see or do. So wandering around, you can come to the end of the day and say, this really was a memorable day.
So you had your pork chop on a stick, your favorite food here at the State Fair. Did you discover anything new this year?
Yeah, I really like, speaking of the Iowa pork tent, I really love the Hawaiian hog, which is pork loin, grilled pineapple, and coleslaw. I'm really loving that. I've had a couple of those. And the savory, the steak tip gnocchi over at Destination Grill. It's their first year of doing that, and that's been a real revelation. That's an addictive dish that I'm probably going to have a couple more times.
Have you had a chance to check out any entertainment at all this year, or have you been too busy for that?
You know what? I don't usually get to see too much entertainment. I do introduce acts on the Ann and Bill Riley stage, and I'll stick around for a little while to those. But over the years being here as part of the WHO radio family at the Iowa State Fair, you get your own schedule backed up. Yeah. And so at that point, it becomes a little bit harder to actually go and sit and watch some entertainment.
Yeah, you bet. Jeff, thanks for talking with us. Yeah. I'm going to turn the microphone over. I hope he's not too busy. To my buddy Duane Murley, who's one of the farm guys here at WHO. And I don't know whether I asked you. I know I talked to Bob, but and I know I asked Jeff, but none of you guys are taking a vacation after this, but you're all over the fairgrounds, just keeping busy so much. And your exhausting schedule, as a matter of fact. And Duane, I guess I wanted to talk to you because the big news story today is about record corn crop, right. And that's kind of good news and bad news. Tell us about that, Duane.
You know, we talked about that this morning. Bob Quinn went into in-depth information about that, but it's kind of a catch-22 because all farmers want to work to be the most efficient they can, the most best at what they do, and in a time like today when we see these record corn numbers out there and record soybean numbers as well, it all kind of comes back to the end user. What are we going to do with the product once it's out of the field? So, we're seeing those new innovations. We're seeing new ideas come into play, and that's really probably what's got to have to happen. It's just, what do we do with the product after we get it harvested? And they're working great doing that. The commodity groups find different ways to use those products and so forth. And you actually see those at the Iowa State Fair. The Soybean Association has a display, soybeans and beyond. So the and beyond is what happens with the soybeans after they're harvested and so forth. And the products they go into, the beef, the Iowa Beef Industry Council is going to have a day in the Ag Building on Saturday, and they're going to talk about the byproducts, and one of those is crayons. They're giving away crayons. So, you just have to come up with ways to use the product. And like Bob said this morning, you don't want to shut the machine down. The machine is where it's at. You want to keep that going, and you don't want to back off on anything. So it really kind of comes down to how are we going to use the harvested, the corn once it's harvested, and soybeans, and any of the commodity products, actually. And fortunately, we're seeing, a lot of the corn going into feed for cattle, and soybeans even into feed for hogs and so forth, and soybean oil, soybean meals. So, there's byproduct markets, but, to come up with maybe a niche type market where those products can be used at the end is really going to be a key moving forward.
So I'll ask you the same question I asked Jeff. What is your favorite thing about the Iowa State Fair?
I'm going to probably have the same answer he does, the people. We are able to make our way around the fairgrounds and take part in different activities. And, it's really a total package, Jamie. I mean, everybody talks about the food. Yeah, the food's fantastic. Then you get down into the livestock barn area, and those kids are working their hearts out, 4-H and FFA kids with their livestock. And we talk about this, too, that, the livestock is constantly changing. There's new livestock coming in all the time, and old livestock leaving the fairgrounds, and a lot of that happens at 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And I was just down to the horse barn, and now the Clydesdales are coming in. The Belgians just were here yesterday. So, all that happens at night, and some of those shows aren't until 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night. So literally after one class of horses, completes their show, they're loading up and heading home, and different breeds are coming in the next day. So to me, it's just kind of a total package, just seeing all that happen, because this is a little city during the Iowa State Fair, and with the food and the people and new innovations. There's just so much new here at the Iowa State Fair.
Well, and this podcast goes all over the place, of course, as podcasts will do, and it's available on all the different platforms and the website and everything like that. But mainly it addresses things going on in Newton and Grinnell, and I know that you know about Don and the gang at Van Wall Equipment and the donation of that John Deere tractor, and that was during the Great Tractor Ride, and that was for you, Duane, an emotional event. Tell us how you felt about that.
Well, it was, because we spent the mornings talking to the FFA kids about what they were going to do with the money they raised during their breakfast that they provided for the tractor riders.
And it's hard to get by getting a tractor on pancake feeds.
Right, exactly. And so we talked about that too, because being on the Rockville City Fire Department, I know we can't buy a $250,000 to $500,000 fire truck just by serving pancakes or soup suppers and stuff like that. So, you do that, and you find out community support really shines at a time like that. But what we found out, like with what Don Van Houweling did, he heard those broadcasts and knew that those kids needed that tractor now, because they're going to use it for farm safety. Those are the same programs, safety programs I went through, 45, 46, 47 years ago, that are put on by the FFA. They bring the kids in, and now they're bringing younger kids in. I did not have that opportunity. We couldn't do that program till we were older, but now they're bringing younger kids in because there's so many young kids on the farm, and they want to teach them farm safety. They want them to, be taught to stay away from the power takeoff shafts, to stay away from the loaders, always have visual contact with the driver. Don't lose sight of the driver, because if you see them, they can see you. So there's a lot of safety, and that's what the tractor is all about, is to teach farm safety. And Don knew that, the value that those kids were going to get out of that. And, honestly, realistically, in today's world, that donation could easily save lives just by promoting that farm safety. And that's what the kids are going to do with that tractor.
That's WHO farm broadcaster Duane Murley. This podcast also sponsored by Jersey Freeze in Monroe, home of the Van and Bon Freezer. Check it out. Lynette Baker, Halo Branded Solutions, Westside Java Coffee Bar, and the Maid Ride in downtown Newton. Check them out. Breakfast every morning, Monday through Sunday. Until next time, grrr, out is out. See ya.